So that was an exciting day where we had the Minister of Housing come to officiate as the guest of honor. And the Master of Ceremonies knew that our event was starting at 10 a.m. And at 10 to 10, I asked him to make sure that he was ready to start. And he said, I'm ready, but I've been told the minister's running 20 minutes late, so can we do some entertaining and everything? I said, absolutely not. You start at 10 o'clock. And at 10 o'clock he started, and when the minister walked in, of course he was not very comfortable and quite embarrassed, but he came up to me afterwards and he said, I respect you for starting this event on time, and I'll make sure I'm never late to one of your events again. So my thanks to those organizers here who've obviously started on time, because my allotted time to speak came up exactly on time. So thank you to the previous speaker as well. I like to keep things on time. And I think when you think about time and what I'm going to tell you today, it's very important. Because time is the only resource none of us have control over. Ultimately, God determines how much time we have. But we do know that the little time that we do have in this life, we should try to be as disciplined as possible and use it as constructively as possible. Because smart cities is a time-based concept. It's something that takes us into the future time, not the present time. And if we all want to be part of the future, we have to embrace smart cities, because it's not something that may happen. It's something that has already happened and will continue to happen until it takes over every part of our urban population in the world. The president was in Dubai last week, and he was quite surprised by what they showed him on smart cities, especially policing smart cities with CCTV cameras and what could be done to ensure the safety of people living in cities. And I would say Dubai city is the most safe city in the world today. And there's only one reason for it. It's not that you don't have criminals arriving into Dubai, you do. It's just that they don't commit any crime, because they know if they did, they would be caught within minutes. And that deterrent of knowing that someone is watching you, whether you're walking in the street or the hotel or this very room, every second, every minute you're being watched, makes people behave better. You can leave your phone on the table in this room and walk out and come back this afternoon, it will still be there. That's Dubai. And the president said we are 1,000 years behind in Zimbabwe. Well, I'm not sure if we're 1,000 years behind, but I think we can catch up. I do. And my presentation today on smart cities talks a little bit about the future of urbanization. I'm going to skip through these slides as quickly as possible and make this more an interactive discussion. So if we can go to the next slide. I'm not going to bore you with what this definition of a smart city. You can all Google that or ask AI, they'll give you a better answer. Go to the next one. What I am going to say is that United Nations have said 70% of the world will be living in urban areas by 2050. Just think of that, in 26 years' time, 70% of the whole world will be living in urban cities. Data is the future of our world. We're living in a data age. We're no longer living in a carbon age where we're driven by the fuel, the literal carbon fuel in our economy. The new fuel of today is data. And every company that looks to invest in data, in AI, will have a place in future economy. Those that don't will be left behind. And I think the city management, our city, our forefathers who are here today, and hopefully they're listening loud to this message, will embrace the digitalization, the need for data, the need for becoming a smart city. We need sensors everywhere to be able to better manage smart cities. We need Internet of Things. These are the devices that talk to each other, because in the future, this is how we're going to be running our lives. And all the data that these things do is important. For example, the modern fridges today know what you're putting in them. They know if you've put a lettuce in the fridge or a bottle of milk, so that when it runs out and needs to be replaced, it can send the order to Amazon for Amazon to deliver it to your house before you get home that day. And that's not something that's futuristic. That's something that's real today. Doesn't cost a lot of money. The fridge doesn't cost any more money than another fridge. It just has a small device in it that allows it to communicate. Let's move on. Smart cities do improve living conditions. I really do believe that. That as we densify, it doesn't mean that we have to be overcrowded. but we can improve our living conditions. We're designing Pomona City now with 70% open space. The Hills Lifestyle Estate, which we launch in 2 weeks' time, has 84% open space, but it's a smart city. I think with smart cities, new opportunities, new business opportunities, new development opportunities are brought, because there's something futuristic, there's something different, and this is going to grow the GDP of Zimbabwe. We alone have committed $5 billion to our development plan for Zimbabwe, for Harare, just for the city, $5 billion. Smart cities do reduce costs. With time, technology becomes cheaper, and on economies of scale, the overall cost of providing that service is reduced over time. They're also environmentally sustainable and help us to enhance our financial resources. If we can go to the next slide. This is something I'm quite proud of, because I'm a guy who never finished high school. I dropped out of school at 17, I went into business. I've been in business since then, I'm now 51. So for 34 years I've been in business. And everything I learned was mostly practical. I didn't have a formal education. But somehow Harvard accepted me a few years ago, and in the final year of our graduation, we were given a task to come up with a strategy statement. And what I learned is that strategy is more important than anything else. You know, we learned from business schools that having a vision, a company mission statement, financials, a good business plan are important ingredients for a success of a company. But actually, all of those mean nothing without a strategy statement. And if there's one thing you take home today, take home that every single organization, never mind every business, but every organization, including the City of Harare and government, needs to have a strategy statement. Because if you don't, the people don't know where you're going, or why you're going there, or how you're going to get there. And this strategy statement is a roadmap to show us where we're going, how we're going to get there, and most importantly, why are we doing it. At Westprop, we live and breathe with a statement that says, with 1 billion bricks by 2050, we will pioneer world-class, vertically integrated, premium lifestyle communities in Zimbabwe. Using technology and innovation, we operate in a high-performance culture of excellence, delivering a trusted, customer-centric ecosystem to work, live, shop, and play. You see, those are not just 4 words that are playing off each other. They're real ambitions of creating a new world, a new ecosystem for us to thrive in. Because why should you work in one place and drive 2 hours in traffic to go to work in another? Or why should you have to work in one place and drive an hour to a shopping center to go do your shopping? And then if you want to go play sports, you've got to drive another hour somewhere else. There's no reason for that. If the planning that the gentleman talked about earlier was done by qualified people, probably wouldn't have these problems. So that should be the starting point. Maybe our planners need to have qualifications. But good planners can be paid, who have a lot of experience, and you can ask them to plan a smart city for you, so that you can have a mixed-use concept where people can live in homes, work in offices, shop in shopping malls, and play in the fields, in the parks, in the tennis courts, in the swimming pools, in the golf courses, or whatever other recreational and sporting facilities you want to create within that smart city. And all of that can be done within one node. Fortunately for Westprop, we have a competitive advantage, because this requires at least 100 hectares of land to do a smart city. And the 3 developments we're doing, which is in Warren Hills, the Hills Lifestyle Estate that I mentioned we're launching next month, which is a $280 million project, the largest project not only in Zimbabwe but in sub-Saharan Africa today. Millennium City, which is over 200 hectares of land in Borrowdale, and Pomona City, which is almost 300 hectares of land, are the 3 places where we're building these 3 nodes. And we're excited for them because these are smart cities. This is the future that we're bringing. If we can go to the next slide. Some of the characteristics are having safer streets with CCTV cameras. I mentioned to you Dubai is a good example. Improved infrastructure, better city utilities, healthier environments, improved transportation, and prioritized public safety. If we can move on. So we at West Prop are building the future in mind because we understand that smart cities are the future of urbanization. I often say that I'm not living in today or tomorrow or next year or 5 or 10 years time, but I'm already living in 2050. You saw our corporate strategy statement takes us 26 years ahead to 2050. In fact, it was the longest strategy statement at Harvard Business School. And the reason for that is I know Zimbabwe is just starting. But I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about what I can see in 2050 and beyond. If we can keep going. So we are integrating these into our projects, and how we're going to do it, I'll show you. The next slide. First of all, we're looking at going smart with safety. Creating a safe environment for our residents is the most prime concern we have today. And how we're doing that is with CCTV cameras, 24-hour surveillance systems, with biometrics and access control that has not been brought to Zimbabwe yet. When you drive up to one of our entrances, it will recognize your face and will say, "Welcome, Mr. Dube, to your residence," and open the gate. When you have someone ring your alarm, your intercom video on your door of your house, it will come up on your phone. Say, "This is the person that's ringing your door. Do you want to let them in or not?" When a visitor comes to the gate with a pre-approved QR code, it will scan it in, and they'll know that this is the person that you want to enter into the development. And the security will take a photograph of your driving license. The cameras will take a photograph of your number plate in the car, and there'll be a digital record in our database of when you entered and where you went. The camera will follow you until you get to the building you're supposed to go in. If you go to a different building, it will tell the security that car went to the wrong building. These are simple things, but very easily available. It's a game changer for safety. It allows you to remotely access your home and arm your alarm system, turn off your lights, turn off the geyser, and so on. Adequate street lighting on the roads and smart home automation, which I've just explained a little about, is the features that we'll be introducing this year into our developments. Next slide. We're offering world-class buildings, as you can see in the shading background there. That's block 3 of Millennium Heights, a four-floor building. The first building with glass balconies and full trees and plants on the building itself that can be grown to give it a more green feel. It's the first building with lifts in the northern suburbs. We have permission finally from the City of Harare, despite the many court cases we had to go through to get permission to go to 10 floors. So this development will take us to 10 floors. So at West Prop, we're saying we're going up in height and we're going up in quality. And I think that this building is undisputedly a world-class building. It will be completed in the next 2 months. It has solar power on all the roofs, the car parks. It's enough solar power to power the entire building. Every resident can buy electricity 24/7 from us without having to rely on ZESA. We have borehole backup, as we've said, solar power, sporting facilities, gym areas, co-working areas. This is the building of the future. If we can go to the next slide. We're looking at improving this reticulation and sanitation. City is faced with challenges with capacity. We know that the water is the major problem in the city. We also know that sewer is a major problem. So we're looking at ways to reticulate the water. Grey water collection, reticulating that is very important to us. As is the sewer solutions that we're finding with biodigesters, which can alleviate the pressure on the City of Harare. And also is more environmentally friendly because it uses no chemicals. So it's a green product. So in terms of us going green, we really mean that literally. The building is green and we're using green technologies. We've mentioned the solar gas as well. We reticulate our buildings internally with gas so that you don't have to have gas bottles on each unit. And we put underground bulk storage of the gas so that residents can buy the gas straight into their unit. We're definitely bringing new modern buildings that improve the Harare city skyline. And as they go up, you'll see why we say we're bringing Dubai to Zimbabwe. Thank you. Next slide. We've talked about the green. We can go to the next slide. And ultimately, it's the smart city concept of where people can never have to leave the same place. Within one node, within one city area, they can enjoy all the aspects of their life. Next one. And our projects that I've mentioned, the four areas, Millennium Heights and Pokogoro in one area, Millennium City, Pomona City and the Hills Lifestyle Estate, are all prioritizing and pioneering the use of these smart technologies. Thank you. The next slide. That's it. So thank you for that. That was my presentation. I will ask the floor, because I have a few minutes left, for any questions, because I am here to try and make this more interactive. So does anyone have any questions that I could answer, please? I don't know if that's a good sign or bad sign. There's one, yeah?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much for your presentation, sir. We wish to ask, we're talking about smart cities and the future. How does the smart cities tailor into the lives of the ordinary people? What we are talking of mega cities running on the digesters, going green, solar panels, etc. Meaning, this kind of development may cater for, say, 10% of the population. Are there any plans or strategies to have something which is tailor-made for maybe 80% of the population with respect to their average income situation? Thank you.
Thank you for that very pertinent question. The problem is you're addressing it to the wrong person. I'm a private sector property developer. I'm not a politician nor government. But I think that's a good question you should ask government, because that's definitely something they should be addressing. I cannot help 80% of the population of Zimbabwe, but I certainly can help the 1 billion bricks that we intend on putting into the ground in Harare, which costs $5 billion, to make sure that what we do is done in the way that it should be done. And I think it's an example not only for government to follow, but other developers. I've seen many other developers following in Zimbabwe, in Harare. If we had time, I'll show you the slides. Developments that are coming up of a similar nature. And this excites me, because it's not about what we at Westprop does on its own, it's what we do collectively as a community, as a people. And I think all of us have a responsibility to make sure that we do what's right for our people. I also will say that Westprop has pioneered the most affordable luxury home ownership model, which is to remove the land cost. So in phase 2 of Pomona City, all the buildings that we're putting up will be financed and paid for without the land. There's a leasehold concept of land that we've developed for 50-year renewable leases, and this allows homeowners to pay $100 a month to use the land. If they don't want to buy the building that's on it, the flat or the apartment or the house, they can rent it, which makes it more affordable and benefit from the same features that are in the smart city as others who have invested their own capital. Thank you for that question. If there's nothing else, I'll say thank you very much for having me. One more?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you. So I'd like to redirect a question from the gentleman to Mr. Shamba from the local government, I don't know if he's still here, whether they have a plan or framework to work with developers such as Westprop, and whether the Westprop will also engage them.
I'll hand over the baton to him at that stage. Thank you. Thanks.